Hi y'all, and welcome back to Cammie's Kitchen. Today we're making not one, but two delicious desserts that are great for your next holiday party: Snickerdoodle cookies and a pumpkin roll. Since our pumpkin roll has a rest time and our cookies do not, we are going to start there. First, we will prep our sheet pans, mix our batter, and get the pumpkin roll into the oven. Once it's baked, we will take it out, roll it up, and let it rest so it holds its shape. While that's happening, we will move on to our cookies. We will mix our wet and dry ingredients, making the classic cinnamon sugar coating, roll our cookie dough in it, and get those cookies into the oven. By the time they're baking, our pumpkin roll will be ready for its cream cheese filling. We'll unroll it, spread that delicious frosting all the way across, roll it back up, and pop it into the fridge until it's serving time. Once that's done, our snickerdoodles should be coming out of the oven, soft, warm, and ready to enjoy. Let's do it. I don't know about you guys, but I always find it super difficult, especially around this time of year, to find any easy dessert recipes that I can make for my family or for a holiday party that are not pie. Everybody wants to make apple pie and pumpkin pie, which is great. I have nothing against pie, but it is not the kind of dessert recipe that you can make and enjoy the same day, especially not if you're using sourdough, which I always try to incorporate in my desserts. So this is a great video if you need something quick, delicious, traditional. The Snickerdoodle cookies you can literally make in under 30 minutes, which are incredible. My kids absolutely love them, so there's that. And this pumpkin roll looks beautiful. This is the kind of dessert that you bring to a holiday party and everybody's like, wow, that looks like it took you a really long time, when it really took you like 30 minutes, not including the rest time. You do not need a stand mixer for either of them, but I have one, so I'm definitely going to use it. We are going to start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees and preparing our baking sheet. You can use baking spray or melted butter, really whatever you have on hand. I usually just use a spray, but today I'm working with butter, so let's just make sure you get an even coat across the bottom of your sheet pan. Once it's covered, go ahead and lay a piece of parchment paper right on top and set aside. A lot of you are probably thinking that the butter / baking spray, as well as the parchment paper on top of that, is a little bit overkill. Honestly, all we're trying to do is make our pan as nonstick as possible. Ideally, your batter is going to be thick enough where it will bake evenly directly on top of that parchment paper, but if for some reason it doesn't and it starts seeping underneath it, we want it to be able to be removed very easily. If you think about it, this cake is the base of our dessert, and if for some reason it starts to break, crack, or just crumble, we are not going to be able to make our roll. In a medium-sized bowl, we are going to whisk together our dry ingredients: 140 grams of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and about 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Mix everything together until it's well combined, and let's move on to our wet ingredients. Now, in the bowl of your stand mixer, or a separate bowl if you prefer, we are going to combine our wet ingredients, starting with 120 grams of sourdough discard, 150 grams of granulated sugar, 90 grams of brown sugar, 180 grams of canned pumpkin, 4 large eggs, and a capful of vanilla extract. If you're using a stand mixer like I am, go ahead and attach your whisk now and mix on low speed until nice and smooth. While the mixer is running, add all of your dry ingredients, continuing to mix until everything is fully incorporated. Once your batter is ready, it's time to pour it onto our prepared baking sheet. You probably noticed that when you poured your batter in, it stayed mostly in a circle. All you have to do is take your spatula and guide the batter to all 4 corners. We really want it to get into a rectangle shape, so we'll be able to roll it into a log. Once this is done, simply pop your batter into the oven for 15 minutes. While our pumpkin roll is in the oven, let's go ahead and take advantage of the time and mix our cookie dough. In a medium bowl, start by combining 260 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. If you're like me and love baking but haven't really experimented with too many recipes, then cream of tartar is probably not one of those ingredients that you're just gonna have lying around in your pantry. I don't even know if I'm saying this right, by the way. I actually had never heard of this until maybe a year ago when I started making these Snickerdoodle cookies, and I have attempted to make this recipe without that, and from experience I can tell you that they are still delicious. You get incredible cookies, but they do not taste like traditional Snickerdoodle cookies if you do not have this ingredient. They taste more like a cinnamon sugar cookie, which is amazing. Like, it sounds amazing, right? And it is. It just depends on kind of what's the vibe that you're going for. If you really want a traditional style Snickerdoodle, then you need this ingredient. This is what's gonna give it that tang that these cookies are known for. In the bowl of your stand mixer, we are going to add our 2 sticks of melted butter, 200 grams of granulated sugar, and 50 grams of light brown sugar. We want to mix this together until the mixture is light and fluffy. Next, you want to add 120 grams of sourdough discard and mix again until it's fully incorporated. While your mixer is on low speed, go ahead and add your egg as well as your egg yolk, one at a time, followed by 2 tablespoons of bourbon and a capful of vanilla extract. Mix everything until smooth and well combined. Y'all are all probably like, bourbon, what? Okay, so this is actually a secret ingredient because you will not believe the depth of flavor that this ingredient gives to our cookies. If you are freaking out about the alcohol aspect of it, you do not need it for this to be an amazing cookie. You can just substitute it for a whole egg. So instead of using 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk, you will use 2 whole eggs. But I highly recommend that you use the bourbon. The alcohol actually burns off as the cookies are baking, which is amazing, but it helps retain that moisture inside the cookies so they become so tender. You will notice that compared to, let's say, traditional chocolate chip cookie dough, this cookie dough is going to be a little bit stickier. That being said, it's a lot easier to work with when it's a little cold, so we're going to toss it in the fridge while we work on our topping mixture. Also, if you're making these ahead of time, which you can absolutely do, this cookie dough is amazing if you want to save it for a day or 2 from now. It will stay good in the fridge for up to 2 days. In a small bowl, you want to add 50 grams of granulated sugar followed by 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. Give it a good mix and set it aside for coating our cookies. Now we want to take our cookie dough out of the fridge. I am using a good old-fashioned cookie scoop, but you can really use anything that you normally use for portioning out cookies. Simply take out 1 cookie at a time. I like to place them on my hands. You will notice that they're really sticky. If they're way too sticky for you, then you can kind of flour your hand before you put it on there. And then we want to gently start rolling every cookie into our cinnamon mixture. To coat your cookies, you can either use your hands, like I mentioned before, or if you want to avoid getting messy, then scoop them directly into your cinnamon sugar mixture, like this. This is especially helpful if your cookie dough is very sticky because they'll fall right into the mixture, and all you need to do is either gently turn them or sprinkle a little extra on top to coat them evenly. Once they're coated, place the cookies on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper and continue this process until all your cookie dough is used up. Once you take your cake out of the oven, you want to let it cool down for 5 to 10 minutes. While it's cooling, you want to take a tea towel. This was another thing that I did not have in my kitchen for this recipe, so I will link the one that I got because I got a pack of 3, and these are actually really useful for baking on Amazon. You want to take your tea towel, lay it flat on your countertop, and we want to dust it with a little bit of powdered sugar. Next, carefully take your pan and quickly transfer the warm cake onto the sugar-coated towel by flipping it over. Peel off the parchment paper from the top of the cake and then begin rolling it tightly from the short end with the towel still inside. Let the cake cool on a wire rack or on a safe spot in your kitchen for at least 1 hour. This is the rest time we mentioned at the beginning. Since our oven was already preheated for our pumpkin roll to 350 degrees, all that we have to do is stick our cookies in the oven and bake them for 14 minutes. While our cookies are baking in the oven, we want to take advantage of the time and make our last ingredient for our pumpkin roll, our cream cheese frosting. To the bowl of our stand mixer for the very last time, we are going to add a whole block of cream cheese, 75 grams of unsalted butter. Mix this for at least a minute until everything is well combined and very fluffy. Next, we are going to add 150 grams of powdered sugar, a capful of vanilla extract, and a pinch of salt. Continue mixing this on low speed for an additional 3 minutes. While this frosting is mixing, go ahead and begin to unroll your pumpkin cake. After about 3 minutes, when your frosting is fluffy and ready, you want to pour it directly onto your pumpkin slab. Using a spatula, start spreading the frosting from the middle out to all 4 corners, being careful not to get too close to the edges so you don't have any frosting spilling out when you roll your cake back up. We want to grab that same tea towel we started with, and we are going to gently roll the cake up again, beginning on one side just like last time. Take it nice and slow so it keeps its shape and does not break. Once it's rolled, wrap the whole thing tightly in plastic wrap and pop it in the fridge to chill. This second rest time is not required, but I highly recommend you do not skip this step. What putting this in the fridge does is help set your frosting so when you cut into it, it's a really nice, clean slice. If you don't care, I would at least tell you to put it in the fridge for 30 minutes prior to slicing into it, if you can. The more time that it sits in the fridge, the better it's going to taste. So I usually leave it in there for about an hour, or if I know I'm gonna have it for dinner tonight, I will just leave it in there until I'm ready to serve. Our pumpkin roll is resting in the fridge, so in the meantime, we are gonna go ahead and start with our taste test. Snickerdoodles are up first, and can I just say that these look incredible? That cinnamon and sugar on top, they look beautiful. Let's cut one open and see what the inside looks like. Oh my gosh, do you guys see how tender and soft and moist these are? Wow. 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 People are going to be asking you for this recipe, y'all. It is so tangy. It is so light though, so fluffy. Oh my gosh. I mean, the texture is literal perfect. It like melts in your mouth. That butter and all of that cinnamon and sugar. This tastes like fall. This tastes like Thanksgiving. Every holiday should taste like this. I don't know if it can get better than this. I'm excited for the roll, but now that I've tasted this, I'm like, it's gonna be tough. Once you take your roll out of the fridge, we want to sprinkle the top with some powdered sugar. This, of course, like always, is optional, but it makes it look amazing, and a little bit of extra sweetness doesn't hurt. Now we want to cut into it. Yo, this looks so good. This looks so good. I am like pleased by visually appealing food, and come on now, like how could you not like see this and want to enjoy it? Like, let's try it. Hopefully it's as good as it looks. This is a very dangerous episode. It really is. This is incredible. I usually don't even like pumpkin, but the pumpkin with the cinnamon flavor is so delicious, and that pumpkin pie spice. Wow, this is incredible. I am 110% making this for Thanksgiving this year, and I know everybody's just gonna be so excited. Wow, just another bite. That frosting is so light. It's not too sweet. It's perfect. If you want a little bit sweeter, oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe make double the frosting for like dipping, but this is perfect. The only thing that I would change is I would have definitely made myself a really large hot cup of coffee before I did this taste test. Wow. There you go, y'all. 2 super easy, super mouth-watering sourdough desserts that you can make for your next family gathering. As always, thanks for watching, and if you try either of these, please let me know which one you like best. Bye, y'all.